Welcome back. It's one step forward and two steps back for civil liberties advocates in the U.S. today. Last month, the Senate approved an amendment that would bar the military from detaining American citizens suspected of terrorism indefinitely without a trial. The move was regarded as a huge surprise as well as a confidence booster for groups who have been working for years to end indefinite detention. But just yesterday, lawmakers in both the House and the Senate dropped the ban, also known as the Feinstein Amendment, during their negotiations for a new National Defense Authorization bill. So is this the end of the indefinite detention discussion? Well, Taday NDAA is the founder and director of Revolution Truth and also one of the plaintiffs in the case against indefinite detention, and joins me now to answer that question. Hey there, Taday, thanks for coming back to the program. So is this the end of your fight against indefinite detention?
Oh, absolutely not, unfortunately. Today's development is surprising, but not necessarily two steps back. That was not the most ideal amendment. So we're not too sad to lose it, but we're kind of back to square one on this, essentially.
And one of the lawyers representing you, Carl Mayer, he had said to the Business Insider yesterday, I want to read a quote from you really quickly. He was upset about the Congress's decision to nix the indefinite detention ban. He said, as President Abraham Lincoln, who so many of these politicians profess to admire, said, you can fool some of the all of the time. You can fool all of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all the time. From day one, we have said that this issue will be decided in the courts. From day one, advocates of freedom and liberty have prevailed in federal district courts, and we will pursue this fight to the Supreme Court if we have to. So is this what it's going to come down to, a fight in the Supreme Court?
Well, yeah, we hope so if we lose the appeals court. Obviously, we'd like to win there and leave it at that. But if we don't win there, then we certainly hope the Supreme Court elects to take this case. It's such a critical case. So it may go all the way there, yes.
And the NDAA is approved every year, though. I mean, getting this case to the Supreme Court is going to take so much longer than that. So what can we really expect to change, and what kind of timeline can we really expect it to change in?
Well, you know, one upside about our case is that it's been expedited. So unlike most other cases of this nature, we are being seen very quickly, and we expect to be in the appeals court in early January and possibly in the Supreme Court sometime shortly thereafter. So while indefinite detention is still allowable in this country and around the world, and as the government has said in court, they don't know which law they use to indefinitely detain you, they can use the NDAA right now. And of course, we aim to stop that, and we won't give up this fight at any level.
Now, as I mentioned, the ban did pass initially 67 to 29 in the Senate. Why was the Feinstein Amendment disregarded this time, in your opinion?
Well, that's a really good question, and I think that the answer to that falls on really opposite ends of the spectrum here. I think that Republicans, although they pay lip service to the idea of not indefinitely detaining U.S. citizens, they're fighting this tooth and nail. They always err on the side of national security in the sense of completely stripping us of our rights. The Democrats, I'm not so sure. I don't know whether it was the vague language that bothered them, because we made quite a to-do about that vague language, or whether they lost their political will. So either way, neither side of Congress is really standing by us and standing by the U.S. Constitution. I do want to mention, though, I don't know if you saw this at RT, but we had two groups just file amicus briefs on our behalf. The Government Accountability Project, which represented Thomas Drake, the NSA whistleblower, and William Binney, and also the Korematsu Center, which represents the descendants of families who were interned at the Japanese internment camps during World War II. They both submitted briefs on our behalf, and they're very powerful to read. So I'd highly recommend your audience read them if they would like to.
Thanks for the information. And earlier in the interview, you said that it's not really two steps back. So you're talking about the Feinstein Amendment here. What wasn't right about the Feinstein Amendment? What didn't it do enough of, in your opinion?
Well, there were unfortunately so many things wrong with it. I think Feinstein meant well, but she should have consulted strong civil liberties attorneys prior to the writing of that amendment. So one, it was highly discriminatory. It only provided alleged coverage to U.S. citizens, not to residents or tourists or other foreign nationals. It also did not stipulate any difference between a military tribunal and going to civilian trial. So although they were, touting the fact that it allowed people to have a trial, when it doesn't stipulate the difference, that could mean a military tribunal, which means habeas relief is the only thing that is available to people who are indefinitely detained. And as we've seen in Guantanamo, that can take 5 years, 10 years. You can rot away in prison with only habeas relief. It's not enough. That's not constitutional.
So, Tangerine, we're almost out of time, but is indefinite detention just a wartime strategy, or do you anticipate that it'll go beyond the war in Afghanistan and, in fact, the war on terror?
Well, the war on terror has no geographic or temporal boundaries. So unfortunately, under the guise of, quote, national security, we are losing our rights in a war that really will never end. And any politician who's being honest actually admits that it's never going to end. So we have to find a better way to balance national security and civil liberties. Right now, Congress is not doing a good job, and unfortunately, neither is the Obama administration.
All right, Tangerine Bolin, we appreciate your time. She's the founder and director of Revolution Truth.
Thank you.